Hello and welcome to the first webinar of the year with Bedroq. So thanks for joining us again today for the next webinar in our What's New series. In today's webinar, we'll cover some of the newest features in Microsoft 365 that you can implement in your business, as well as covering some of the future updates into brand new features that Microsoft are covering over the next year or so that just give us a bit of an insight into the future of our working world. Don't feel like you need to take notes or take it all in straight away, as we'll be sending out a recording of this webinar and a follow-up fact sheet later today. Also, if you have any questions, please do feel free to drop those into the Q&A box at the side at any time. I'll try my best to keep an eye on those as we go along and to try and answer those as we're talking about the relevant content. But just in case I miss any, there will be some dedicated time for questions at the end of the webinar as well. So let's take a look at the agenda for today's webinar. We'll be starting off by looking at how you can manage your files more effectively with updates to OneDrive. We'll be looking at how you can find that important message that you know is there somewhere, but you can't quite remember where, with new Microsoft Teams improved search capabilities. Then we'll be looking at new meeting booking options in Outlook. Next up, we'll be looking at how you can keep everyone up to date with new contact sharing options in Teams. And finally, we'll be looking at changes to audio and video controls for Teams meetings. Last of all today, we'll be just taking a look at what's next for you, for your business, for this webinar series, just so you can remain up to date and get all the latest information and news on Microsoft 365. So it's really good to see so many people here to kick off the year. I'm really pleased to see so many people coming back and some new names as well. So I just wanted to do a quick update and a quick introduction for those of you who may not have been to these webinars before. My name's Jennifer Benge and I lead the marketing team at Bedroq. Bedroq is an IT managed service provider and Microsoft solutions partner for modern work. This means that most of the IT we implement is based on the Microsoft stack. So that includes Microsoft 365, Teams, Azure, etc. We're also experts in secure, resilient networks and managed IT solutions where high performance is critical. So that means that we work with organisations that have some of the highest security requirements in the UK. We manage mission critical IT and operational technology for highly regulated organisations, and we do that as our managed service. The most important thing we want to achieve, no matter what your organisation does, is to make sure that your IT strategy is supporting your business as a whole. And we do that with the help of our 8 strategic rocks. As you can see on the screen here, our eight rocks are data, skills, backup, strategy, investment, security, quality of service, and collaboration. The collaboration rock is the focus of this webinar series, as at their heart, the Microsoft 365 apps and tools are collaboration programs. So we just want to make sure that if you are investing into Microsoft 365 technology, you are getting the most out of that investment. So without further ado, we'll look at our first update for today's webinar. If you're using the new version of Teams, you may have already noticed a pop-up notification about this, that will just pop off on the sidebar, as it's been rolling out since mid-December. So the Files app in Teams is being replaced by the OneDrive app for Teams. So you can see a screenshot here of what my Teams view looks like when I open the OneDrive app. If you already use OneDrive for the web, you'll notice that this view is very, very similar, and that's the point of why Microsoft have done this update. What they are aiming to do is to just do a bit of tidying up and make sure that no matter where you're trying to find your documents, you get a really easy pathway, and wherever you're accessing them, it will look the same. So no matter what platform you're using, whether you are looking at OneDrive on the web or via the app, you should have a very, very similar view just to help you navigate your way around. There have been a lot of updates over the last year or so to OneDrive and SharePoint that we've covered in this webinar series. And these updates and improvements have also been carried across to this new update with the OneDrive app on the web and in the Teams app as well. So if you're not currently using the new version of Teams, you should see the update coming to Teams Classic at some point in the first half of this year. But at the moment, if you are using Teams Classic, you'll just on your sidebar, you'll still have an option that says Files rather than OneDrive. So what's included in this new OneDrive app? It gathers all in one place, all the files, all the loop components, dashboards, and design boards that you might need to work on, no matter where you've saved them in Microsoft 365. So the app makes it easy for you to get back to all the content that you've created, as well as ones that, as well as documents that may have been shared with you recently across Microsoft Teams, via email. Any document that you've opened that someone's shared with you will be logged in here, so you can easily get back to it. The new views and filters enable you to quickly find relevant results, making your file management much more effective. So, for example, if you're looking for specific content but can't remember the exact chat where it got shared, then or even the name of the file itself, for example, then you can quickly go to the OneDrive app and browse through your recent files or recent shared files, and it should be a much quicker, easier way of locating that file again. On the left here, you can see a closer look of what the OneDrive in Teams app menu bar looks like. So starting with the shared files option. The shared view will show you any file that's been shared with you, regardless of whether it was shared in a chat, a channel, a meeting, or an email. And all of those will show up in the shared view. It's your sort of go-to spot to find all the files that you're collaborating on with someone. If you need to get back to them quickly and continue working on them, that's where you can look for those. Next on that menu is the favorites item, and that keeps track of important files by allowing you to click a star next to those files, and you can then favorite them and access those files in the future from your favorites list. And that favorites list will also carry across between OneDrive, Teams, File Explorer, all the apps, and everywhere you need them, basically. So if there's one specific document you're working on, maybe it's a project plan that you just need to keep updating with where you've got to, if you favorite it, it'll be easy to access no matter where you're looking for it. Last of all, the option that we're going to look at on the menu bar is the recycle bin. So this will make it easier now that without even leaving Teams, you can quickly view and restore previously deleted items and documents. Below that, in the next section on that menu is the meetings view. So the meetings view shows you all your upcoming and past Teams meetings, along with the meeting recordings and shared files. So rather than having to navigate to those via your calendar view or via your Teams chats that have accumulated through those meetings, you'll now have this dedicated option to find all of your files that have been shared during meetings. So whether the files were shared during the meeting itself in the chat or in the invite, you'll find them all in that menu item. Below that meetings view, there is a people view. This is another new option. So sometimes you don't remember the name of a file or a specific chat where a file was shared, but you do remember who actually shared it with you. So this will allow you to search using that person's name to access all the files they have shared with you. So you can see on the view on the right here, I've included a screenshot of the people view itself. This is what you'll see when you click on that people menu item. So here it will show you the people that you've most recently shared documents with, along with the file type and name. You can see here I've had to block out a few names just because they contain some client names, but you can get the gist of it. Shows you a little logo of what type of file it is that's been shared, and it's right there next to the name of the person who has shared it with you. As well as showing you all of this big list of people that you've recently shared documents with, or they've shared documents with you, you can also use the search bar within this view to filter by person. So if you know a specific person shared a document with you, but you can't remember where or when it happened, this is an easy way to find it. Okay, from that view, we'll look back to the screenshot on the left and look at the shared documents menu item again. So this will show you all the documents that people have shared with you. And in the last OneDrive update, we have for this month, we're going to look a little bit more in detail at that shared documents option. Okay, so this is an update that was supposed to be available a while ago, but has been pushed back a few times. So we should all hopefully be getting access to it this month if you haven't already got it. What this update will do is it will allow you to create a shortcut to files stored in other people's OneDrives and document libraries. So you'll be able to easily find it within your own OneDrive. These file shortcuts can be moved and renamed without impacting the source content and will show up wherever you access OneDrive. So whether that is on the OneDrive on the web view, on the phone app, or on the new Teams app for OneDrive. When you're using this feature, you'll select a file in your shared documents and click Add Shortcut. You'll then see two options for where you can add a shortcut to. You can either add it to My Files or other locations. If you select My Files, a URL file will be created within your files in OneDrive. And if you select other locations, then the normal looking file picker will allow you to choose a location for where you want that shortcut to go. And that will give you then access to all of your normal OneDrive options or your entire document libraries that you have access to. You can pick wherever you want that shortcut to go. So the default name for this shortcut will just be the name of the file that was shared with you, but just appended with the URL option. It will also be differentiated with an arrow icon overlay. So you can see I've picked those out within this screenshot here that we've got from Microsoft. So on the left-hand side, there's a whole list of all your files, and you can see the ones that you've created shortcuts for have that little arrow logo on top of them, so you know it's a shortcut rather than a file that you've created, or is it within your OneDrive itself. So something interesting to note with this is that if you rename, move, or delete or share this file shortcut, it will only impact that shortcut itself. So it's quite useful if you're a person who regularly shares documents with people and worry that they could possibly delete it, and then you've got a whole headache of trying to find that where that was deleted and when to reclaim it. This means that you can share documents in such a way that the person with the shortcut won't be able to delete the document itself. They will only be able to delete their shortcut to the document. Similarly, if they rename the shortcut to something that makes more sense to them, it's not going to rename the actual file that you shared itself. It also means that if the person that you've shared the document with then goes on to share that shortcut with a third person, that third person won't have access to the document unless you grant them access. So simply by having the shortcut to that file does not mean that they will be able to access the document itself. So it's kind of another layer of security, just so you know that as the document creator, your document is safe and you can just share access with someone that you want to have access, but you know they're not going to be able to share that shortcut to the document with anyone else. So if you did want the third person in that scenario to access that document in the future, you would just change their access rights as you would normally do, and they will be able to access the document. So that, again, that's something to look out for. Some of you may already have this feature within OneDrive. Some of you may be waiting to get it this month. It's rolling out gradually as we speak. So look out for it if you think those document shortcuts within OneDrive would be useful to you. Next up, we're going to move away from OneDrive and look at an update for Teams. So there's a new enhanced in-channel and in-chat search experience for Teams, and you'll be able to access this using a new menu item called Find in Channel or Find in Chat. This is a massive update. It's another one of those updates that we get every so often where we just say, why on earth didn't this happen sooner? Because up until now, you do a search in Teams and it searches Teams in its entirety, and you can get all kinds of message from all kinds of places. This will allow you to specifically search within a chat or a channel. So this new search button is integrated into the channel information pane. You can see in the screenshot on the left, that's what it looks like when you're searching within a chat. There's an option, second one down, saying Find in Chat. And you can then, once you click that button, a search bar will appear and you can search for a term, a specific word that you know has cropped up at some point within that chat, and you just need to a really quick fire way to find it again. And it'll work the same in channel as well. There'll be an option on that menu saying find in channel. So once you've done that search, you'll have the results displayed in the right pane of the screen next to the chat or the channel that you're searching in. In a single view, you'll then be able to quickly glance at your search results as well as the chat or channel interface without leaving your flow of work. After selecting the result that you actually want to look at in detail, you're taken to that specific message within the channel or chat, so you can quickly then read the other messages and chat bubbles either side of that chat, and you'll be able to gain the full context of the message rather than only having that one message that you've searched for on its own, which can then be quite hard to understand how that came about within the conversation. So again, a fairly simple update, you would have thought. It's taken a while to get here, but really looking forward to actually being able to use this new search capability. Next in the search capabilities in Teams is a new search function which Microsoft are calling domain-specific search. So new domain-specific search filters like files, group chats, or teams and channels help you narrow down your search results and quickly discover the information that you're looking for. So instead of already choosing the specific chat or channel you want to search in, this one will apply if you just use the main search bar at the top of your Teams app. And you can see in this screenshot here, once you start typing something, it will give you suggestions for people that you might want to search for different types of documents, for different chats, and you can then narrow down what you're looking for, filter on one of those options at the top, and just search within that area. In addition, you can now enter a colleague's name, and with domain-specific search, you can efficiently find shared files and mutual group chats, no matter where they are in Teams. So again, these tie quite nicely together with that OneDrive in Teams update, that all of these different search capabilities are kind of getting tied together, and overall just should make finding documents that you need to work on much easier, much simpler, and hopefully just less of a hassle overall. Next up today, we are going to look at Outlook and new meeting booking options. So as you can see in the screenshot here, there are new meeting templates for webinars and town halls, which are now available in the Teams meeting drop-down menu in the calendar app in Outlook, and if Teams add-in is enabled. That was a bit of a mouthful. Let's say that again. So if you have enabled the Teams add-in in Outlook, you will now see this new drop-down menu, which includes options for town hall, for virtual appointments, and for webinars. So you can choose that just directly within the Outlook app. As I said there's also the new virtual appointment template, which has been added to Outlook and Teams. This is a new meeting template for virtual appointments, and you'll find that in the same drop-down menu. When you're clicking on that drop-down within Outlook, you can choose to book a virtual appointment. This allows schedulers to set up virtual appointments directly within Outlook, and these will show up on your calendars in both Outlook and Teams. So just keep everything up to date as you would expect across all of your calendars. So on that subject, that last option with the new meeting options in Outlook, that's tied in with moving to the new Outlook. So this month, Microsoft is expanding the scope of who will see the new Outlook option in Windows. So whether you see that toggle on the right, the screenshot there with the slider, whether you see that or not will depend on the choices made by your organisation. So if you don't see that option, or if it's not available to you, you may just need to ask one of your organisation administrators to allow that option to become available for your teams. A number of times over the past few months, we've ended up discussing the problems that people have been having with the new teams. Definitely, it's something that we've come up against a lot with Bedroq, just internally, as well as talking to clients about. I would say that luckily, new Outlook doesn't seem to be suffering with those same teething issues. So most of us at Bedroq have been using New Outlook for quite a few months and experienced no problems with it. It's mostly just visual changes that you can quickly get used to if you do decide to start using it. So as I said, New Outlook will be rolling out and becoming available for more people this month. So have a look at it. You can always try that slider if you want to try it, and go back to the old classic Outlook if you decide you don't like the new look. But I would say it's worth trying, and doesn't seem to be suffering the same problems as new Teams. Next up, another nice simple one that I think would just be quite useful, save everyone a bit of time. You'll be able to share you'll soon be able to share contact information of colleagues who are not participants in a chat. So this makes it an easier and more accurate way of sharing someone's details. If they come up in conversation and you're suggesting someone should contact them, it's just an easy way to do that. So when this becomes available, to share a colleague's details, you'll just start a regular @mention and select share someone's contact details. Start typing and select their name. And once you've selected their name, click OK. Note that they won't be notified when this happens. So it's they're not going to get a notification saying your contact details have been shared. This will just be between you and the person that you're sharing their contact details with. Their name is then added to the chat with a small contact information icon. So they themselves are not added to the chat, it's just their contact details are added as a little share card that everyone can then access. We're expecting to see this become available at some point between now and mid-February. So keep an eye out for that if you think it could be useful to you. Last of all, our last update for Teams is new Teams meeting and audio and visual controls. So Microsoft is improving access to audio and visual settings during Teams meetings. Key controls would be just one click away because they're implementing these new flyout options. So during a meeting, you can access the audio flyout by clicking on the down arrow next to the mic on the meeting toolbar. Click more audio settings at the bottom of the flyout if you want to open the full set of all your controls, or you can access the icons and options that you can see in the screenshot here. You'll be able to access the video flyout by clicking the down arrow next to camera on the meeting toolbar, and then you'll be able to click more video effects and settings at the bottom of the flyout to again open the full range of settings. I think these will be really useful if you're midway through a meeting and you just quickly want to change some of your settings. This will be a much easier way to do it rather than opening a whole new pop-up and going through all of your settings separately. Having said that, if you prefer doing things that way, the current or older way of accessing these audio and visual controls will still exist. So you can still access those via the main settings menu. That's not going away. And you can still use the settings that way if you prefer. This is just a much quicker, shorter, easier way to access the tools that you're most likely to need whilst during the course of a meeting. Again, this is due anytime now. We've been told mid to late January. It's not popped up for me yet, but perhaps it has for you. Keep an eye out if you think that would be useful. Okay, so I said at the start we would just give you a quick overview of next steps if you think you could benefit from doing a bit of an IT review to kick off your year. We host what we call the 8 Rocks Stakeholder Workshop. This is designed to get consensus on your priorities of where you want your IT to go over the next year, 5 years, completely overhaul your strategy if you like, or just look at next steps that you can do to quickly improve your daily work. This can be conducted face-to-face or virtually, and it gets all your IT leaders and other management teams just aligned behind the best way that they can solve their IT issues and make sure that your IT is supporting your wider business. There's no cost implications to this, so if you would like to reach out, we'd be happy to book one of these in for you, and we can look at how to make your IT the best it can be for 2024. Okay, we've got a little bit of time for Q&A. I can see some questions have come in. Please do feel free to add any questions that you have either about today's content that we've covered, or if there's something in particular you'd like us to cover next month, please also feel free to drop those into the Q&A box as well. If there's something that's kind of been bothering you that you're not sure how to use effectively, or a topic that you've heard might be useful, happy to look at covering those next month for you as well. But in the meantime, let's look at the questions that we have in place. Do we know if camera settings will be made available outside of being in a call? Currently, I can only change camera settings once in a call. So you should be able to change most of your camera settings outside of a call. It's just in terms of, if you're using an external webcam, if you want to use the camera that's in your laptop, you should be able to change those kind of settings. You should also be able to change what background you want to use without being in a call, just so that it's all set up and ready to go as soon as you do join a call. I'd say that's something potentially we'd need to look at as on an individual basis, just because I'm not sure of the reason why you wouldn't be able to change any of those settings unless you're in a call. That could be something that's gone a bit strange with your teams potentially. So we'd have to look into more detail about what settings it is you want to change outside of a call, and how we can adapt that for you. But if you wanted to reach out via email, we're happy to look at that for you. Just reply to the email that you'll get this afternoon with the recording, and we will be happy to follow up. Will this webinar be available on your website? Yes, indeed it will. It will be up this afternoon. You'll also get an email with a direct link to it. So please do feel free to share that with anyone else you think might find it useful as well. In the new Outlook, I noticed that if I open a message and click on the delete button, it does not delete the message from my inbox. That is very strange. It's not something I've come across. So you can change all kinds of settings within Outlook in terms of how many clicks you want to do to show something as read, or how you want things to open. But that's not one I've heard of having to change settings to make sure something is deleted when you press delete. Again, we'll have to look into that for you separately. Happy to do that, and I think it should be a fairly easy fix, fingers crossed. If you would like to again follow up by email later on today, we'll have a quick look at that for you. Someone's asking about dates. Gareth, you're asking about dates that things are getting rolled out. So for most of the things that we've just looked at, most of them, unless I gave a date, they should be coming anytime now. So there's a couple of the features towards the end there that we said are being released on a rolling basis from now, between now and the end of February. Some of them are kind of ongoing, some are being launched that I'm not aware that anyone has access to yet. For example, the share a contact card. I'm not aware of anyone having that already. We are just waiting to see that. So it's all of these things are coming out within the next couple of months, I would say, the updates that we've given today. But obviously we'll keep you updated when they are actually available. Let's find another message. Is a scheduling poll available in the new Teams version? There are different kind of scheduling and Q&A options coming with new Teams. So I know that there have been updates we covered back in, I think, around November's webinar, that show new scheduling options for live scheduling, live poll taking within the new Teams. So it should be becoming available if you're already using new Teams. It may look slightly different to the scheduling option that you're used to using in classic Teams, just because, Microsoft, they like to give things new names for no apparent reason. So we'll have a look at that for you to see if it has just been renamed and it's still around. But there are definitely other new updated options coming for scheduling as well. We've got a couple. John has asked a question around options for the Outlook, sorry, not the Outlook, the OneDrive sharing and sharing the shortcuts, saying that sometimes depending on users, it can cause some problems with the file. Again, I think that's probably a user error, John, but we would be happy to look at that in more detail for you. It's not something I've heard of. So as we start to use these new Teams and OneDrive shortcuts a bit more, we'll be able to look at those in more detail and just see if anything is occurring that's actually more than one user, just so we can see any patterns in that. Gosh, we've got loads of messages coming in. I think a few of these are, as I asked for, suggestions for things that we could cover in future webinars. So I'm going to look at those and get back to you later this afternoon if it's an individual quick question that we can answer today. If not, we will definitely be taking those on board and looking at how we can cover those in the remainder of this webinar series. So that's pretty much all we've got time for in terms of questions today. If you have asked a question, we'll get back to you. Thank you very much for joining us. If you are free in February, we are running this webinar again then. Join us again on the 8th of February. Cara is sharing a link for you right now. You can sign up straight away on our website. And we'll send you all the details to join that webinar on the 8th of February. Without further ado then, all that's left for me to say is thank you very much for joining us today. I hope you all have a really happy new year. Really good to see so many of you back again, and looking forward to continuing to share these updates with you over the next year. Thank you very much for attending, everyone, and see you again soon. Bye.